Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday. Today we're learning Perek of Gittin. Today's shiur is sponsored by Nishmas Aaron Nachum and Simcha Cohen. Yeshua Marcha B'Shav Bracha Savish Malay. Abiyah Moshe Ben Yosef. May the Neshama have an Aliyah and for them if you saw Bracha Leah Bracha was supposed to start the Bracha Aliana Basiyah Bracha. Avin Yisrael Barisha Chayvus Bela for them with Sok Shar Chal Yisrael. And a special shout out to our sponsor, the State of Nashim, the Imperial Advisory Group. They're an award-winning CFO advisory firm whose team of CFOs brings an average of more than 30 years of experience. They help businesses to go beyond bookkeeping and accounting, providing the strategic financial leadership, empowering leadership teams to make more informed big picture decisions. To learn more about them, visit www.imperialgrp.com. Okay, Mishnah Perek Mishnah Aleph. Azorik get ishto. If someone throws a get to his wife, that he besoch beisa or besoch hatzira, while she is standing in her house or in the courtyard, and the get lands in the house or in the courtyard. Harezu megureshes. She is divorced because her house and the courtyard are legally considered to be her hand, and they acquire the get for her. However, if he throws it to her while she is in his house or in his courtyard, and the get lands next to her, even if the get lands next to her in the bed she is using, she's not divorced because the get landed in a place that does not belong to her. The soch or the soch kalta, if he throws it into her lap, in the part of her skirt that hangs from the lap, and drags along the floor, or into her sewing basket that is sitting on the floor, she's divorced, even if she and her basket are in his house. That's the area under her clothing and basket is considered to be on loan to her while she's using it. Therefore, she's considered divorced. Mishnah Beis. Amala can say Shtarchov that if he said to her as he handed her the get, take this loan document, or if she found the get behind him on his back and he twisted his back toward her so she can take it from there, which is an unusual way to give a get. Korah, she then reads and discovers that it is her get, and a get. It's not a good get. Ad shiyam Allah, hey Gittin. Please says to her, here is your get, making it very clear that he is divorcing her. Since both of these cases, it was not obvious when he gave her the get that he meant to divorce her. He must make it clear afterwards that this is her get and she's not divorced. Another case. If he placed the get in her hand while she was sleeping, Neura Kara Vehare Higita. Very who get and a get, not a good get. Yom Allah, hey Gitech. Until he says to her after she wakes up, here is your get. Since he placed it in her hand when she was sleeping, was not able to protect it. She did not acquire it at that point, since it's still in her hand when she wakes up and reads it, and then she acquires it then. But her husband must still say to her, "Here is your get." If she was standing in a public area and he threw the get to her and landed on the ground, and the halacha is karov la migareshes. Karov la migareshes. If it lands close to her, if if it lands in a place where only she can protect it, but he cannot, she's divorced. Karov la migareshes. If it lands close to him, in a place where only he can protect it, when she cannot, she's not divorced. Maxa migareshes, vena migareshes. And if it lands halfway between them, a place where either of them can protect it on their own, or a place where neither of them can protect it without the other, she is divorced, but she's not divorced. Meaning, Her divorce is in doubt, and she therefore needs a new get before she can marry someone else. Mishnah Gimel. The same as law, and the same halacha applies to kiddushin, which we're going to get to the next masechta. If a man throws money to a woman in a public area and says to her that she should be betrothed to him with this money, if it lands close to her, they are betrothed. If it lands close to him, they are not. If it lands in a place that is halfway between them, then the kedushin is a suffix. And the law is the same with regard to a borrower repaying a debt, as the Mishnah explains. Amalo bal chov zarok li chuvi. If the person who lent him money said to him, throw me the money that I am owed. And he threw it to him in a public area, but the money was lost before the lender could pick it up. Then the law is karov l'malveh zacha halover. If it landed close to the lender, the borrower has succeeded in repaying the debt because the money became the lender's as soon as it landed. If it landed close to the borrower, and the borrower still owes the money because the money he threw was never acquired by the lender. And if it landed halfway between them, so that it's uncertain who owned the money that was lost, they divide the money between them, and the borrower must pay again half the money that he owed, and the lender loses out the other half. If he was, in another case, if she was standing on top of the roof of her house, and he was standing below in his courtyard, and he threw the get up to her, as soon as it reaches the airspace of the roof, so it falls within 3 tvachim of the surface of the roof, she's divorced because it is as if the get has already landed on her roof. If he was above on the roof of his house, and she was below in her courtyard, and he threw the get to her, once the get leaves the area of the roof and is inside the walls of a courtyard as it falls to the ground, nimchak or nisraf, even if it is erased by a rain or burned by fire before it lands, she's divorced because her courtyard acquired the get for her before it was destroyed. Mishnah Dalet, Bishamai says, Poter Adam Ishto beget Yoshan. A man may divorce his wife with an all get. But Beis Hillel Osrin, but Beis Hillel Asr, Ezu get Yoshan. What is an all get? Any get that he wrote for his wife, and he then spent time alone with her before he gave it to her. That's a problem. Because perhaps he had with her when they were alone together, and before she gives to her, so then people are going to assume that this child is gonna be a mamzer, because like you got pregnant after the day of the get, but you didn't get to get till a couple of days later, then that kid's gonna be messed up. So you can't do that. Mishnah Hey, cause of the she'ena hogeges. Someone wrote a get in Bavel and dated it according to the kings of the uncultured empire, meaning the Roman Empire. They did that in order to show the government that the Jews respected the king of the country in which they lived. It's all just for show. The Shul Malchus Manda, the Shul Malchus Gavam, or according to the kings of the Madai Empire, Parsa Madai, or according to the kings of the Greek Empire, the Vinyan Habayis, the Chorn Habayis, or according to the years since the building of this Mikdash, since the Chorban, Hayev and Mizah, or if the Sofer was in a town in the east when he wrote the get, and the witnesses signed it there, but he wrote in the get that he was in the town in the west. But Mara because of Mizrach, or he was in the west when he wrote it, but he wrote in the get. He was in the east. In all these cases, the get is possible, and if she marries someone else based on it, she is hired to the following penalties. Number one, Teitze mizeh mizeh. She must leave both this one, the first husband, and the second husband, like a woman who committed adultery. Utzricha get mizeh mizeh. And she needs to receive a get from both the first one and the second one before she can marry guy number three. And she receives not payment neither for a ksuba, the payros, nor for the produce that they took from her property, the zonas, nor for food, below, and not for one our property, not from this one, the first husband, not from that one, the second husband. Aim not to and then she took payment for these things from either of them, she must return it. And the child she has after the child that she had after she remarried from either this one or that one is low and if she dies in the Kohanim, neither this one nor nor that one can be tummy to her corpse because the first husband is really no longer married to her, and the second husband was not permitted to marry her to begin with. And neither one of them has the right to the lost objects that she finds or to the money that she earns from her work. Nor do they have the right to cancel her nadarim. If she was the daughter of a non-Kohen, she now becomes disqualified from marrying a Kohen. If she was the daughter of a Levi, she becomes disqualified from eating Meiser. And if she was the daughter of a Kohen, she becomes disqualified from eating Truma. That's the situation. Then Yarashiv says, that if she dies before these men, neither the heirs of the first one or the heirs of the second one inherit the extra money promised to them in her ksuba. And if the husbands die without children, both the first one's brothers and the second one's brother must perform chalitza with her, but they do not do yibum. Absolutely not. Okay. Shina Shema Shema. If the person writing the get changed the husband's name or the wife's name, and he wrote the wrong name for one of them, Shem Ira with Shem Ira, or if he wrote the name of a city or the name of her city incorrectly, and then her husband gave her this get and she married someone else, Tate say mizeh mizeh, she must leave this one and that one. She has to leave both of them. And all these ways, all these penalties apply to her. That's what the story is. Yeah, so that's not a good idea. Don't do that. Okay, let's go on. Mishnah Vav. With all the arayas about whom the sages said that if their husbands die without children, then their co-wives are permitted to remarry without receiving yibum or chalitza. If the co-wives went and married other men, nemsu elu ilonius, and then these arayos were found to be ilonios, which are women who never matured and they can't have kids. They were therefore never actually married to the husbands. The halacha is the co-wife who be married must leave both of them, both husbands. She must get divorced from her second husband and may not marry her first husband's brother in Eva. And all the ways and all the penalties in the previous Mishnah applied to her as well, because she should have made sure that the other wife was not an islandess before getting married without chalitza. So Now you got to start with consequences. Mishnah Zayin, Hakone says Yevimta, if someone married his Yivama, his brother's widow, to fulfill the mitzvah of Yibam, and her co-wife, thinking she was now free to marry out of the family, went and married someone else. Her name says Zoshi islandess. But it was later found that this wife who had performed Yibam was an islandess. It was therefore never really married to the brother who died. Malach is she, meaning the co-wife who remarried, must leave both of them. She has to get divorced, and the second husband may not remarry the first husband, may not marry the first husband's brother in Yibum. And all these ways start that we mentioned in Mishnah Hay, all the penalties they applied to her as well, because she should have been made sure that the other woman was not an islandess. And moving right along, Mishnah Ches, Kasav Sofer Get Isha Vishover Isha. If the scribe wrote a get to the man to give his wife, and a woman and a receipt for the woman to give to her husband when he pays her the ksuba, get Isha Vishover Ish. But the sofer made a mistake and gave the get to a woman and the receipt to the man without their realizing it. And they gave the wrong documents to each other. The man thinking he was holding the get, gave the receipt to his wife to divorce her, and the woman thinking she had the receipt, gave the get to her husband who when he paid her the ksuba. Sometime later, the mistake was discovered when the get emerges from the man's hand and the receipt emerges from the woman's hand. But by this time, the woman is married to someone else. Since she never received the get, she in fact committed adultery by marrying her second husband. She's therefore subject to all the penalties listed in Mishnah Hay. She must leave this one, first husband and the second one, and she must receive a get from each of them and may never remarry either one. And all the penalties that are mentioned above apply to her as well, because she should have made sure that the get was legit, and she did. So now she's messed up. Rabbi Lezer says, if the get emerged in the husband's possession right away, before she marries someone else, ain't that get. This is not a valid get, and she needs another divorce before she can remarry. But if it emerged from his possession after time has passed, meaning that after she has married someone else, her is a get, this is a valid get. We do not believe that any mix-up occurred. It is not in the first husband's power to ruin the rights of the second husband by invalidating his marriage with the claim of a mix-up in the documents. Rather, we suspect that she really did receive a get, and that she and her first husband are lying because they want to marry each other again, and therefore switch documents so they could claim that she was never divorced. Son wrote a get, planned to divorce his wife, but changed his mind and never gave it to her. Beishamai says, he has disqualified her from marrying a Kohen just by writing a get for her. But Beis Hillel say that she may marry a Kohen. Even if he gave her a get that said that it would be valid only on a certain condition, and the condition was not carried out, he has not disqualified her from marrying a Kohen because the get did not take effect. Mishnah Tes. Her Megarish is Ishta, Ulana Imo Bepundaki. Someone divorced his wife and witnesses later saw that she spent the night alone with him in an inn. Beishamai says, she does not need a second get from him. We do not assume that he remarried her, having bia with her for the sake of Kedushin. Since the Aden did not see them engaging in relations, we do not assume that they did. Beis Hillel Amen, but Beis Hillel says Tzricha Himenu Get Sheni. She needs a second get from him, because we assume that they had bia. Since the person generally does not want to act sinfully, we assume that he intended this action to be for the sake of remarrying her, because the Adam can assume this is what happened. Um, as if they witnessed that it's as if they witnessed the act of kedushin, and the man and woman are considered married. Therefore, if she wishes to marry someone else, she must first receive another get from him. Hey, Messiah, when did Beis Hillel say she needs a get? It's mash and it's gashim and suin. Only when she was divorced from him after they completed their marriage. With nisuin, or living together as man and wife. The modem bin is garsha in her area since she ain't no srich to get sheni. But Beis Hillel agreed that if she was divorced from him during the Erison stage, when the couple is not yet permitted to live together, that she does not need a second get from him just because they were alone together after the divorce. Because during the Erison stage of marriage, he is not yet comfortable with her, and he's embarrassed to have bia with her. Therefore, even Beis Hillel agree that we cannot assume they had relations with each other just because they were alone together. Um, Moving back toward the next we'll get to get makusha. Concept of get kireach. Someone married a get whose first husband divorced her with a bald get, which is invalid. Teitze mizeh mizeh. She must leave this one, leave the first husband and the second husband, and may never be married to them again. And all these ways, all the penalties that were in Mishnah Hay, they apply to her as well, because she should have shown her get to an expert before she remarried, and got it done correctly. And therefore, you did it. That's too bad for you. Get kereach hakol mishamin aleh. In the case of a bald get, anyone, even someone who's usually not fit to be witness, can complete it by signing his name on a blank fold, because he is simply filling in the space and not testifying. Divrei bananas, this is the words according to bananas. Rabbi Akiva, however, says, the only unfit witnesses who can complete it by signing are relatives of the husband or wife who are fit to testify in other situations, meaning cases where they are not related to any of the parties. However, people who are generally unfit to be witnesses cannot sign on the blank spaces of a get or kosher, because people might think that they are actually qualified witnesses. Bezel get kireach. What does the ball get? Kol shiksharav merubim edav. Any get makush that has more folds than witnesses, which means that some of the folds have not been signed and are bald. Uh, um, that's all for today. We'll see you tomorrow for the last Perek of Gittin, Perek Tess. Have a wonderful day.